Today is Sunday, October 28th, 2018. This is my ninth journal, and this week we kind of had to talk about passing on what we know about school and stuff like that. So, the first question of this is what have you passed on to underclassmen? And I actually had to give a lot of advice, which is weird to me. But my number one is you need to use your planner. If you don't have one, you need one. Never wait till the last minute to study because it will never work with these health classes. Not like health classes, but anatomy and eval and stuff like that. Never wait. You're screwed. So you're learning it to know it. You're not learning it to just for a grade. That's another big thing that we stress anyways. And then I think because of how we're taught in high school, a lot of students think that what's on the PowerPoint is the only thing that's on the test, and that's not true here, because a big thing with especially our classes is definitely write down what your professor is saying and worry about getting the PowerPoint notes later, because most of the time the PowerPoint notes are from the book. And with our classes, you have to read. That's just how it is. You have to read to get that understanding. So when you're there for a lecture, take notes on what they're saying. Don't sit there and try to copy and go along with slide to slide, because it won't work. Another big thing that for our classes, you have to know your terms, your planes and distal and proximal. You have to know that, regardless of if you're an AT major or not. If you're pre-health or exercise science, you have to know what that is, who's referring to stuff like that. And those are the basics of what we start with. So that's a big deal. So the next part of this journal is, why have I passed on this advice? And I actually come into contact with a lot of underclassmen that are struggling with kinesiology, or worried about taking exercise physiology, or worried about taking nutrition. It's either they're in the class and they're already struggling and they're I know you've taken this, how did you survive? Or they're just overwhelmed, this is too much. So the next part of this was how I was influenced by upperclassmen. So when I came into the program, how did they influence me? I would say that it was because they were always there to answer our questions. If we were scared to ask preceptors or professors, they knew because they were in our place. Usually, when the program started, or when I started the program, they usually led by example. I know the seniors that graduated last semester, they definitely led by example. This is what you do. Don't do anything else. If you do something else, we're gonna get in trouble. So they were always helpful. No doubt, you could ask them anything, and it's no judgment. We've been in your place. We know exactly what's going on. This is how it is. So giving advice is huge, because now with me being a junior and these pre-health / exercise science kids are coming in, and they're how did you take these classes? They're so hard. Basically you just have to learn how to study, and that's a huge adjustment that everyone has to make. And I had to make it as well, so it's just a learning curve, and it's hard, and high school doesn't really make you want to be accountable, like, for studying and knowing things, because I guess you do, like, for Virginia, we take SOLs and stuff in high school, so, like, what you knew kind of built on to, like, stuff like that for SOLs, but, like, for other classes, like, biology and stuff like that, like, it was just, like, get an A on the test, and then let's go to the next thing and memorize it. But, like, that's not how it is here, because you're going to school to, like, get a job and use that stuff to get a job. And, like, people are like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, those are prerequisites. Like for me, I have to take, like, general biology and chemistry and stuff like that. That's just, like, how the program works. Like, that's just, like, college, like, their protocol, whatever. So, like, it's just stuff you have to get over. And, like, with anatomy, like, stuff like that helps. And it's just huge for us to, like, learn things to have it forever instead of learning things to get a good grade. Usually if you're learning it to have it forever, then you get good grades. So that's usually, like, our kind of quote, I guess, or our advice is just, like, well, if you're just trying to get through the class and, like, it's not what you're interested in, like, that's just what you have to do. But, like, if this is what you want to do for the rest of your life, like, this isn't high school anymore. Like, you're, like, trying to learn it forever. So that's how I feel about it. We give a lot of advice because, as an 18 major, because people realize, like, how much we have going on. So, like, with all the good, like, we have to have good grades, and, like, most of us play sports are used to, and so, like, we dealt with time management and, like, getting our clinical hours, like, that's time management, and usually we're taking, like, at least 16 credits. So you just get it done, and, like, that's how you do it. There's no other way to get through it, really. But yeah, so that's my ninth journal.